Alright, new topic. We're going to have equations where you're not going to have, they're both going to be in standard form, essentially. You're not always going to have y equals or x equals. So what ends up happening is we have this particular way to solve equations. It's called elimination. Elimination, just thinking about that, what the definition of that word is, it means to get rid of something. So in this case, when I look at this equation, I see this 7y in both equations. One's positive, one's negative. I know if I add those two together, they're going to equal 0. So they're going to cancel each other out. They're going to eliminate each other. So what we're going to do in this particular equation is we're going to take and add them. So you're going to go, the x's you're going to combine, you get 5x. The y's cancel out, and then you add the 6 and the 4 to get 10. By solving for x in this particular equation, you're going to get x equals 2. Okay. Now we're going to take one of the two original equations. I'm going to take the second one, the 2x plus 7y equals 4. I'm going to plug in that 2 that we just found. So we're going to go 2 times 2 plus 7y equals 4. We've got 4 plus 7y equals 4. You're going to subtract 4 from each side. And I've got 7y equals 0. Once you divide each side out, you're going to get y equals 0. So the solution set for this is the ordered pair 2, 0. Right? So elimination. We're eliminating one of the variables, the x or the y. So let's look at the next one. Alright, well, we aren't as lucky as the last one. We've got these two equations. The x's, if we add them or subtract them, they're not going to eliminate each other. The same thing with the y's. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually take this first equation and change it. You're going to say, well, how are you going to change that? Well, I can take each of the terms that are in the first equation and multiply everything by a common number. I'm going to multiply it by negative 3. The reason negative 3 is because I know that if I have a negative 3x here and I add 3x to the bottom one, they're going to cancel each other out. So I'm going to rewrite that top equation as negative 3x minus 15y equals negative 12. The bottom one becomes 3x minus 7y equals negative 10. So now when I look at this, if I add the x's together, I know that I'm going to cancel them out. I'm going to get 0x. So those are eliminated. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these equations together. So the x's cancel out. If I add these two, I get negative 22y. And then I've got negative 12 plus my negative 10, so I got negative 22. I'm going to divide each side by negative 22. And then in the end, I'm going to get y equals 1. Now I got to solve for x. So I'm going to take my original equation. My x plus 5y equals 4. I'm going to plug a 1 in for the x. Okay. I'm then going to subtract 1 from each side. So I've got 5y equals 3. Okay. I'm going to divide each side by 5. So I've got y. Oh, you know what I just did? Did anyone notice? What did I plug y in for? I plugged in the x and I wasn't supposed to do that. I did this wrong. See, at any moment, you could do something like that as well. So there's things that you need to take a look at as you're going through these problems. That making sure that you're plugging in the y for the y and not the other variable. Alright? So I'm going to redo this again. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I plug y, replace y with 1. So I'm going to have x plus 5 times 1 equals 4. I've got x plus 5 equals 4. I'm to subtract 5 on each side, and this time I'm actually going to get a number that makes sense. Oops. Add some more space. So I've got x equals negative 1. Okay, so lesson learned here, I need to make sure that I am replacing the correct number with the correct variable. Alright, one more, and we'll be all done. Alrighty, so let's look at this one. I've got 4x plus 7y equals 6, and then 6x plus 5y equals 20. Right now, I know that if I take one of these equations and multiply it, I can't make a 6 into a 4, and I can't make a 7 into a 5, but I could find a least common multiple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of just look at my x's. I know that the least common multiple between the two of these is 12. So I'm going to take this top equation and multiply it by 3. And the bottom equation I'm also going to change, but I'm just going to multiply that by 2. So we're going to end up getting 12x plus 21y equals 18. And the bottom equation, I'm going to get 12x plus 10y equals 40. Okay. Oops, I need to have that 12x in there. So looking at this, they're actually like terms, so they're both positive. So this means I'm going to subtract, and I haven't done that yet, and I just wanted to make sure that I showed you guys this. So when I have subtraction, what you need to make sure is you go 12x minus 12x, so that cancels out. Then you've got 21y minus 10y, okay? That is going to give you, yes, 11y. Then here I've got 18 minus 40, so this is going to end up being 22, but this time it's negative because I started off with less and I'm subtracting more from it. I'm going to divide each side by 11. So in this case, I'm going to get y equals negative 2. Okay. Now, I can either use one of the two equations I created when I multiplied, or I can use one of the two original. I'm going to use the first one. So I'm going to have 4x plus 7y equals 6. Okay, I'm watching this time. Negative 2 goes in for this y. So I've got 4x. Okay, I go plus 7 times negative 2 equals 6. I'm going to rewrite this as 4x minus 14 equals 6. Then, yeah, just again solving for my variable. I've got 4x equals 20. Divide each side by 4, and I've got x equals 5. Okay. So these are my examples on elimination. This is something that as you go through the 3 different types of solving systems, a lot of times elimination becomes the one that you constantly go to instead of substitution or graphing. Graphing is kind of the last resort. A lot of individuals don't choose that. Elimination, I think, is probably one of the first ones that people try, and if substitution is easier, then that's also your option. So that concludes this video.